Pocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice and skill in my grasp. I follow the moonlight into a steady hand, walk through the flame until both understand. When I ask who I am, I answer with light. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, that tenderness, meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, oh yeah, ignite your weekends.
I used to push louder, call that being strong. Now strength is patient and patience moves along. I hold the rage and the lullaby in one key. In hard times I show up steady awake. The hours of posture I practice and refine.
Hands like thunder, hands like rain. Bold breath blaze, I flip fear into fuel. Turn silence into grace. Ignition is a choice, not a single bright spark. I carry my passage on through the door. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, let tenderness meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, we are the flame, we light the night, we light the night. Ignite your weekends. Cold in my pocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice and skill in my grasp. I follow the moonlight into a steady hand, walk through the flame until both understand. When I ask who I am, I answer with light. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, that tenderness, meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, oh yeah, ignite your weekends.
I used to push louder, call that being strong. Now strength is patient and patience moves along. I hold the rage and the lullaby in one key. In hard times I show up steady awake. The hours of posture I practice and refine.
Hands like thunder, hands like rain. Bold breath blaze, I flip fear into fuel. Turn silence into grace. Ignition is a choice, not a single bright spark. I carry my passage on through the door. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. rocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice and skill in my grasp. I follow the moonlight into a steady hand, walk through the flame until both understand. When I ask who I am, I answer with light. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, that tenderness meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, oh yeah, ignite your weekends.
I used to push louder, call that being strong. Now strength is patient and patience moves along. I hold the rage and the lullaby in one key. In hard times I show up steady awake. The hours of posture I practice and refine.
Hands like thunder, hands like rain, both have place.
I flip fear into fuel.
Turn silence into grace. Ignition is a choice, not a single bright spark. I carry my passage through the door. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, let tenderness meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends.
I had it on a loop. Bruce, how we doing?
Hello. Good. You're doing
So I don't
good.
know if everybody knows, but
Very sad.
Bruce is a competitive soccer player, and the World Cup final was a must.
Yeah. I played soccer for, I was just thinking about that, 33, 43, 53, 63, for 43 years.
Wow.
43 years, and I still play over 60s. But, yeah. And that's summer and winter seasons. Summer, winter, and plus tournaments. I tried to calculate it once. I played over 1,500 soccer games.
You know, soccer players, I find, I don't know anything about soccer. That was actually waiting for this podcast to start watching that game was the most soccer I've watched probably my whole life. But I find that soccer players are very resilient. They get tremendously injured all the time, but then they get up and they're fine. They can keep playing. That's a joke. Did you freeze or did you not like my joke? I think we're having video.
I don't know.
Video.
Something happened.
Like I was watching and like
It's
there's
kind of a
one guy
dark
who's
screen.
like,
I'm just looking at the.
what? Oh, how's that?
Well, it's like we're a small portion of the screen. There it is.
Yeah. You know, there's buttons that you need to click, and I'm still
That's as
learning
big as I've
buttons.
seen it. Yeah. Right.
So I was saying, you see some guy running down the field.
Oh, resilience. Or no.
Yeah, like you see some guy running down the field, and then he looks like he runs into somebody at full speed, and he goes flying in the air, and then you're like, "Wow, that must have hurt." And he's on the ground, he's like yelling, and he's holding himself, and he's crying, and I don't know if he's crying, but he's hurt. And then you watch the video, and it's like they barely even touched, and he just like jumped in the air and
rolls over 9 times.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I remember watching, Canadian soccer players, as a rule, don't do that. Like when we play soccer, we ridicule that type of behavior. You know, in the leagues I play in. And I found it very interesting when Canada first made the World Cup, long time ago. They had this kind of terrible team that they somehow got in to the World Cup. But it was so interesting because all the other players flopped. I call it flopping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they did not. They did not. So they would get creamed, and they just like get up and keep running, right? Like and it looked out of place. They looked like they didn't belong because they didn't engage in this extracurricular behavior. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, is that who you thought would win, Spain, or would you just think Argentina was going to?
Well, I think I would have liked Argentina to win, but Spain was, I felt, the dominant force. You can't. You need two things to be successful in soccer: is skill, and which France had, and team unity, which is very hard to gauge just by watching a few games that a team's playing, especially a team that comes from like a country's team, because they come together for a short period of time. And Argentina, they probably had the lesser skilled team than Spain. They certainly had the best camaraderie, and Messi, if you heard Lionel Messi, who's the famous player, who's, he's one of the reasons that they have such good unity. And I saw that displayed at this World Cup where he played like 85 minutes or 80 minutes, and they would take him off, and he comes over, and every there's a player on every seat in the little dugout or bench area that they have. And they all jump up to offer him their seat. And he says, no. And he, even though he just came off, no, sit down. And then he just sits on the ground, right? Like, to me, that's humble, right? And it's just, a player of that caliber showing that team spirit, that camaraderie is something that all the players buy into. So that's why they went so far and did so well.
It's good leadership.
Yeah.
So they can't end the game 0-0, right? For the final cup. Somebody has to score a goal to win.
Go 0-0 is in round robin play, and once they do the round robin group play, then they go into the round of 64, and then it's single knockout all the way, or the round of 32.
You have to score a goal. There's no ties.
No ties.
So the game just goes on forever.
No.
Oh,
they'll play. So they'll go two 15-minute extra periods of time that they play, so an extra 30 minutes, I believe it is. Yes, and then they go to shootout, which is the goalie and the keeper, and they like they have that in hockey too.
All right. Well, we're not a sports show, so
No.
we are going to move on to the topic of this episode, which would be Fatflation and the Simp Epidemic.
So I purposely didn't research these topics except for the brief explanation you gave them, just so that I could see if we can bring the principles of the weekend to this phenomenon.
Yeah, we want a real-time reaction. Yeah. So there's a podcast called Fresh and Fit. Myron Gaines and the other guy, his name is Fresh. I don't know his real name. I don't even think Myron Gaines is his real name, but they have this podcast, and I think they got famous just like bringing a bunch of young girls on and interviewing them and asking them crazy questions, and they would give crazy answers and stuff. Kind of a sociological experiment, and they call it a dating podcast. But I happened to catch, I think it was Friday, that they had a dating coach on. I think his name was John. By the way, everybody should go, because we're gonna be using a lot of the content from that podcast because it was really good. A lot of good information. I encourage everyone to go and look up Fresh and Fit podcast, and just to give them credit, so that they should go watch the whole thing, because we're not going to play. It's an hour and a half long. We're not going to probably have way too much prepared to play already as it is, but I encourage everyone to go watch it on their channel for sure. So he came on. He's a dating coach. He's lived abroad for a long time, and he came back to America, and he was just like, what is going on here in America with this dating scene? As a dating coach, he wanted to figure it out, so he put together a PowerPoint. He did a bunch of research and then put together a PowerPoint on what he thinks the problem is that is happening currently in America.
And where'd he come from?
He's from America, but he went over. He's lived abroad, like in a bunch of different countries.
Okay.
He moved to Japan, I think, when he was 23 or 24 years old, and then like lived there for a while. Moved back there for like 8 years, and then came back to America finally again in 2025. And he just said that the dating scene is just a hellhole, and we're gonna talk about why.
All right.
But before we do that, we also have Brenda Nas joining us again. Wonderful Brenda Nas. Let's bring her in.
Sure.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, we're a threesome. 1, 2, 3 now. Nice.
We are until I bring up some other media, and then we'll be squished down to the side again.
It's always an adventure.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Did you watch the soccer game?
I did not. I did watch your video though.
Oh, the one I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one we're going to cover right now? Oh, good.
Yeah.
You're prepared. Bruce is not prepared.
That's
He doesn't
probably, I probably would be better off if I wasn't prepared to.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So he, like I said, he presented a slideshow presentation in this video, a very long one, by the way. So what I like to do is I like to take these videos and I like to chop them up into the most relevant parts for time's sake. And, you know, a lot of his was actual, like, you know, just pages from a presentation. So I screenshotted a bunch of those, and we're going to go through some of those, and there's some video we'll play and we'll talk about it. So why don't we just start from the start?
And this is Fatflation.
Fatflation and the Simp epidemic.
Jesus.
I think I already screwed up. I gotta go back. All right. Okay, there we go. Nope. There we go. All right. So he starts off talking about what the dating app landscape looks like today. And I think the whole point of this is basically that men and women are both on dating apps, but the women get a lot more attention on the dating apps than the men do. So if we just kind of go through this real quick, men's average match rate is 2%, where women's is 41%. So women are 8.4 times more likely to match with a date, basically. 7 likes per day for a man versus 92 per day for a woman. This is likes not on like Facebook or anything, Instagram. This is likes on a dating app. So if somebody likes you, I have never been on a dating app. I don't think any of us have. Probably.
Have.
Oh, you have.
That's
Okay.
where I met Kyle. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So likes on a dating app is that if someone likes you, then you like start talking to them, right? Is that how that works?
It's like, hello.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can imagine if you're a man and like 92 times per day, women were like, hi, hey, hey, hi, hi. Like, that'd be a lot.
Yeah, it'd be too much. God, it would drive me nuts.
Well, I mean,
I like the average 7. You only get 7 likes per day.
Men. Yeah.
That seems like too many. Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, how many conversations do you have to have before you get a date? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think.
I have no idea.
Well, I think that also reflects the standard in America where the man does the pursuing and the outreach too, though, right?
Oh yeah. Men are initiators.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. I'm not saying it should be equal or anything like that. This is just
No,
the
I'm
reality
just pointing it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you get 7 likes, and then it says 52% of men get fewer than 1 match per day. So what's a match, Brenda?
I think it's the same thing. You know, the introductory, it's a like, and then one of, you know, based on the like, usually then one of the people will reach out and say, hi, I thank you for your interest. And then it goes somewhere or not.
Well, I think on some of them, don't
like
you
to go
swipe?
for coffee or something?
Yeah.
Don't you swipe left or
Sometimes.
swipe right? And then, like, if you swipe left and they swipe left, that's a match.
Yeah. Mutual
that was-
interest. Yeah. Mutual
okay.
interest.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that doesn't seem too bad to me. If I'm getting a match every couple of days, that's not so bad, is it?
No, it's not. I don't think this
I mean,
is
as
to
opposed
highlight.
to, yeah, okay. But I'm just saying, like,
I don't
if
think
I was
this is to
getting
highlight.
if I was getting 10 matches a day, I'd be overwhelmed.
Which is the point that's what's happening with women.
Kyle does point out in the chat that I'm the one that initiated our first contact.
Oh, interesting.
There you go.
Kyle is your husband. We'll just
Yeah.
mention. Yes. So 67 to 76% of Tinder users are men. So there's more men than women. Women pass on 95% of profiles. Men pass on less than half. So 5% of men's profiles are getting not passed, I guess. 10% of men receive 60% of all likes. The bottom 50% of men split just 4.3% of the likes. So even the bottom 10% of women match the top 10% of men. Outmatch. Okay. So there's a lot of attention for women on dating apps. I think that's the point of this slide. The male loneliness epidemic. American men that are 15 to 34 are the loneliest young men in the Western world. Have you heard of this thing called decentering men? Has anybody heard of this? This is a new trend.
No,
I think it's interesting.
Decentering. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What does it mean?
It's something that women are talking about on TikTok. I have some videos if you want to see. I can show you. So, but let's go over the slide just real quick. So there is an epidemic of loneliness for men in America. Men have less friends than they used to have. Men report feeling lonely. Under 35, 25% of them report feeling lonely. And the Surgeon General says that loneliness is like smoking a pack a day, almost. All right, check this out. So
that's one of the major health risks to the elderly is loneliness.
You really want to know why man haters always seem to attract the most devoted partners? It is very simple.
TikTok.
They're willing to do what most people won't. First is they're willing to decenter men. People think that decentering men means that it will cost them their dream relationship, when really it is what will likely ensure you end up in the right one.
okay, there's that one. And they're longer than anybody wants to hear.
Will change your goddamn life. And before anyone gets the wrong idea, this is not about hating men. It's also not about swearing off relationships. It simply means that men are no longer the center of your universe.
And one more. This lady is
the best ways you have decentered men. When people tell me
cool.
their husband isn't helping with their kids, I say, oh, I didn't realize he wasn't their biological father. When a man made fun of me for being a fangirl and going to concerts, but he's a huge football fan who goes to games, I said, guess we both like screaming for men. Refuse to step out of men's path in public. They can move. I assume every professional someone is talking about is a woman. Them. I spoke to the contractor about it. Me. Oh, what did she say? Same with if someone refers to a doctor, lawyer, etc. I never.
So this is literally, there are hundreds and hundreds of videos of women getting on their phone and just talking about decentering men.
So that means, like, what does that mean? So that means that men were in the main spotlight at one time, and now they're not, and now they're trying to be pushed to the side. Is that what you're saying?
Sounds like to me what she's saying is that women used to have had a tendency, a propensity to make men the center of their universe. The most important thing in a woman's life is finding the man of their dreams. And what I'm hearing in this is I've heard of this term, but it sounds like what they're saying is
no longer a priority.
Is he's no longer the center. He's important. He's important, but he's not the center of the universe anymore, I think is what they want to say. Some of that was kind of rude.
Yeah, I think there's different in putting those 3 videos together, one of them was kind of like just saying that she's not going to like plan her life around a man basically
Right.
anymore, or getting a man or anything like that. And some of them are just mean. Some of them are just like the last girl with the comments, like she scrubs TikTok for like the meanest comments about men and then just laughs at them basically. So
Well, I actually follow her. She looks for laughs. You know, it was kind of mean-hearted, but some of the, you know, watch some of our other stuff. It's pretty funny.
that is a 7-minute video that I could keep playing, and she
No,
just
I'm
goes
sure.
on.
It's all about the laughs, right? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of.
But that's not what we're about. That's not what we're here for. Is to create laughs at each other's expense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was telling Bruce, you know, last year 80% of men made up all suicides. You know,
Men,
there's a male loneliness epidemic, and men are affected.
Yeah.
You know? So
men don't have the outlets that women have for their intense emotions.
Well, we have less friends. That was what that slide said, right? Was
Right.
was it men with 0 close friends? Oh,
Right.
I keep going.
Well, it went down from 6 to 55% or something of men had 6 friends, and it's gone down to 27% in 30 years. 55 to 27. So half the men used to have 6 close friends. Now it's less than that.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus.
Okay. So we'll just kind of let these slides go on.
But you can't blame who's responsible for that.
I mean, it's not about responsibility. It's just about what the situation is right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Statistics. Yeah.
I mean, you know, Bruce, you and I we have circles of men in our lives, you know, and we circle up every week with men. It's important to us. And it's important that we hold those circles because men need a place to go. You know, men are stronger together.
Women should encourage their men to go out and do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to be more normal, I think. So. All right. Marriage, 35-year-old men, ever married. 35-year-old men ever married. 90%. Oh, okay. So 10% never married in 1980, where 40% today will never marry. I think that's what that says, right? Am I reading that right?
Looks like it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Although it probably doesn't take into account common law. But anyway.
Maybe not. Only 20% of 25-year-old men have ever married, near the lowest level ever recorded. 1 in 3 young adults today.
Maybe that's a good thing. I mean, you know, how mature are men at 25-year-old ish men? How ready are they to actually get married?
Typically,
you know, especially since we're seeing, or I'm seeing anyway, young men are not as mature as 25-year-old men that 40 years ago. You know, they're still living in their parents' basement.
I think it's different for men than it is for women, just because of the having children thing, you know, as far as age goes. So like, you know, men, the average age is 30 for them to get married. If all women waited till 30 to get married, then they would be having kids mid-30s typically. And that's just, you know, I don't know. That seems kind of late to me.
Yeah.
I think Mother Nature kind of handled that. Women mature biologically from children to mature bodies much younger typically than boys too.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, along with that comes all the stuff that comes with it for exactly the reason that you were just saying. You know, women need to have children while they're young and their bodies are more vibrant versus later in life.
70% of single young men are in no romantic relationship at all. Yet most say they want marriage and kids. I think that's interesting. They're not even dating. 70%. But they do want to have kids and be married.
Well, medium age of first marriage for men is 30.2. I think that's healthy. I like that stat.
Well, it's the point of that stat is to show that it used to be like 20 and 22. So it's gone up. Right.
But then the divorce rates were a lot higher too.
Well, and everybody
there was a
died
lot-
younger back then too.
What was that?
So,
People died younger back in the day too.
Yeah. There's less marriages. We went over this on another podcast. There's less marriages happening. That's why there's less divorces. The divorce rate was the highest it was in the 80s, and then it's come down a little bit. But there's also marriage rates are the lowest they've ever been. Divorce, 70% of U.S. divorces are initiated by the wife. Roughly 40 to 50% of U.S. first marriages end in divorce. Second marriages and third marriages have worse numbers. Of course, not in your experience, Brenda. You and Kyle have a very happy relationship. I can attest for that.
Yes, we do, and we've also have a history of not so happy relationships. So
Right. Yep.
we've earned each other. Let's put it that way. We paid our dues.
Among college-educated women, the wife initiation figure runs even higher, 90% in some samples. What do you think that's all about?
what are you reading?
Among college-educated women,
Hmm.
those initiations by the wife for divorce are the highest, 90%.
Shit.
They're just smarter. They know when it's time
Maybe
to get out.
they're less dependent. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons, right?
Elevated
be, yeah.
elevated expectations.
Maybe
They're financially independent.
it's kind of a guessing game at this point, right?
Divorce risk transfers wealth. Divorced men lose roughly half their net worth on average, plus alimony and child support exposure. The falling U.S. divorce rate is a mirage. It reflects a collapsed marriage rates, not healthier marriages.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a mirage.
Okay, so he's going to talk about his experience about leaving and coming back and what that looked like. Hopefully the volume is working. Doesn't look like it is.
When you share a screen, you got to make sure to click that audio button.
It's not the same as Zoom.
Oh.
I don't know. It's StreamYards and it's
American population
There he is.
really disrespected both online
a little
and
ahead.
17. The USA had changed when I'd moved back in 2016. Okay, I noticed it was harder to find quality women in the USA versus Japan. The women were meaner, more aggressive, harsh, masculine, and just downright unpleasant. Okay, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I knew after living in the USA that I didn't want to stay much longer after 1 year. I lived in Tokyo from March 2017 to May 2025, and I noticed something even stronger after experiencing a nightmare of dating hell in the USA. I immediately had a way better pool of dating options. The women were nicer. The women were friendlier. The women were far more feminine than American women, not like astronomically more, okay? The women were more elegant and cultured, and I was way happier than in the USA. But then I made a huge mistake. I moved back to USA in May 2025. It was terrible. The women had gotten even worse. Flakiness is through the roof. Bad attitudes mostly everywhere, okay? Entitlement, entitlement, entitlement. I have never seen this in my entire 40 years of being alive, okay? Casually disrespected both online and in real life. And to find a beautiful woman that wasn't taken seemed like a full-time job. Men had started contacting me more and seemed to be
Okay. So we have to remember this is in the context of like what is fatflation, right? So what is him coming back to America and experiencing women in his experience? This is the like what the women are like. Well, I think he's talking about women that he wants to date, not women in general, right? And so women that he would want to date would probably be in like the top, 10% of attractiveness for women. And so he, I believe, is reporting on what those women are like to try to date.
What they're like with him.
Well, he's a dating coach. So he's
Yeah.
getting experience, he's getting information from a lot of men. Right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, and so I just wonder. So, let's just assume that what he's saying is accurate. That's what his experience is, or the data he's has access to. I'm just wondering. The question I would wonder is, are these women happy? Are they satisfied with the men that they're seeing? Assuming that they're interested in men. I'm assuming they are, and that their way of being masculine, aggressive, those things he said. Are they happy? Are they getting what they want?
Well, what is the most enviable person to be in the world?
Well, the life of a single woman to be pursued and desired.
And if she's very attractive, probably is more pursued and desired.
Yes, right. But if she's masculine and derogatory and abusive, I don't think it matters how pretty she is.
So hold on a second. So if there's a woman who is 25 years old and she's smoking hot because she has a bad attitude, she's not going to get attention from men.
Oh no, she'll get attention, but I look at it more from what is she looking for, right? Like, what is she looking for long term? If she's just dating, I'm sure she could just do her thing, but eventually, the human condition is, a woman's biological clock, the fact that she's sort of taught about marriage from day one, and she has her vision, and she's, I mean, that's what women are. So at some point, that's not going to work for her anymore.
As she gets
Assuming
older,
it's all
you're saying?
Yeah. Well,
she's getting-
as she matures as a woman, short-term recreational relationships lose their luster. She's looking for something more permanent. I mean, that's what women do, in my experience.
Mhm. Well, I think women are typically always looking for a relationship. In my experience, like it seems to me like most women want to know where it's going. Like it's rare that I come across a situation where there's a woman who's like, just like, I'm just going to date a bunch of men, like, and no, I'm not seeing if this is going to go anywhere or not. I just want to date, and I know it's not going to go anywhere. That seems like a more of a man's attitude with dating than a woman's. So I could ask Brenda. She would
That's
know.
probably pretty. I mean, I know women who are that are not currently looking for a relationship, and they don't really want the man to be looking for a relationship, but that's usually a transition period. Can I say something about this guy though?
Yes.
I did watch the video. It's quite long, and I watched the whole thing because I knew we were going to be talking about it. And I watched how he talks about women, and I'm honest with you. I would be mean and aggressive with him too, just to get him to shut up. He's.
I mean, I don't know that he's going to talk to a woman like he talks on a podcast.
God, I would hope not.
I doubt it. But I don't know. I don't know this guy at all. I've never seen him before. I think he put an interesting little PowerPoint together.
I think it's information. His statistics are very interesting and probably quite accurate. How he delivered it was I was very uncomfortable watching the energy. receiving the energy which he offers it up as consideration.
I get that.
Maybe
You got to
that's
remember,
just me.
this is a podcast that is geared towards, men. Men are the only ones watching this podcast.
And getting interest. Everything online is for likes. Everything online is for clickability. And it may not even be their own real opinion. So I mean, I always try to keep that in mind. It may or may not be. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
Kelly put a comment. Her ego will slowly destroy all prospects. Like if we're assuming that there's women out there that are acting in this masculine, aggressive fashion, like what is a man's reaction to that? Like he wants to have sex with her, so he may say or do, what he needs to do to fit into that groove with that woman for a short time. But there is no man that's going to put up with that on a long-term basis. And if he does, like accommodate, she'll suck all the masculinity out of him, and then she won't want him, because women, they don't like the absolute absence of masculinity.
Right. I just think you're not considering how many men there are out there that are desperate to be with that woman. So she doesn't care. She'll move on to the next one. She'll move on to the next one. She'll move on to the next one.
But how does that help her find her lifetime mate? How does that help her at all? Her attitude will destroy her.
She's looking for a top tier man, right? So she's looking for
and so what? She going to flip the switch when she finds him? Is that what's going on? And turn into a feminine, caring, soft, malleable woman? I don't think you're able to flip the switch once you get that ego going.
So you're saying that you can't imagine how a woman could be different to a man she has no interest in versus a man she has lots of interest in?
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's about character, right? It's who you are as a woman. Like if you're, because once you get your man, like so you become somebody you're not in order to get the man. That's the something I want from you behavior. Then you get him. And then your real behavior comes back. You have nothing I want from your behavior. And when that comes back, that is who the real woman is. And if she is masculine and aggressive and all those other things, well, then I guess he's given up half his stuff.
And
because it's not going to fucking work.
Yeah.
And if that's the recipe that she wants to live her life, well, good luck, because I don't think it works. I don't think that brings you happiness as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to remember we're talking about 20-something young ladies that are getting tons of attention. They're at the peak of their attractiveness, and society, the online culture, the social media culture, and the fact that they're hot women don't mature early either. Nobody gets their full frontal lobe till they're about 25 statistically. So, she's just having a great time being the queen of the world until she's not. And that knocking you off your pedestal can be really painful for a lot of people.
Yeah, basing your self-worth on your your physical attractiveness is very dangerous, in my opinion. Super
well,
risky.
And that leads to some of the divorce statistics too, right?
Well, it bodes well for the Women's Weekend because we got a wonderful model for women to capture and understand and get into a selection process of their lifetime mate that has nothing to do with being masculine and aggressive.
That explains.
So eventually they'll all come to their senses, even if it's their second or third time around. There's only one way to do it, and that's our model of relationship. The rest of them work.
The women that enter the Women's Weekend very fully engaged in their ego are very different women 3 days later. And it's a delight to witness and to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Brenda, you said something interesting, that women's frontal lobe doesn't develop till 25. The men aren't the same?
Yes.
Oh, it is the same for men.
Yeah, it's the same for men.
So should we raise the voting age to 26?
Only if you're going to raise the age that you go to war.
Good point.
Well, that's not possible.
Right. It is what it is.
We just have to keep it in perspective. going to war, you're saying that the idea of forcing someone to go to war, you should allow them to vote.
Well, they should have a say so in what they're going to fight for, I would imagine.
But people that aren't forced to go to war shouldn't have a vote.
I never said that.
Well, but you're saying the opposite, right? You're saying that because they're forced to go to war at 18, they should be able to vote at 18.
I think they should be able to vote at 18 no matter what. We just have to keep in mind that this is who's voting. And here's the thing. They have their frontal lobe, it's just not fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that are 18 are voting. I didn't know we were going to go into politics. The people that are 18 are voting on their world, and they're still fresh. They're still excited. They still have a vision that something can be different. And then you get, the more older people get, the more times they voted, the more times they've been disappointed by the politicians and the people that we've voted in to run our world. And they've done such a poor job in recent years.
Yeah, I mean the voting out.
Get jaded, So thank God for the young and fresh who still think they can make a difference.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to make it political. I was just kind of flesh out like what effects of a not fully developed frontal lobe. Like, should they be able to drink? Like, can they make that decision? Like, tattoos or.
Well, on the subject of what we're talking about here, I think it's important to remember that, when their decision making, their logic and decision making isn't fully formed the way it will be when they're 40. And so young people have interesting priorities sometimes. And young women that are hot and they're well raised and they've had all their friends saying, you go girl, and the society's you go girl and all that. When I'm a you go girl too, I think it's great. And they're going to take advantage of the attention they're getting because that's just natural. It's human nature to really relish and see how far their resources will take them. And, I've seen a lot of men that they don't care. They want the hot girl on their arm and in their bed. They don't plan to marry her. They're just going to wine her, dine her, take her out, show her off. And then when they're ready to get married, you guys tell me if I'm right or wrong, but when they're going to get married, they're going for Marianne, not Ginger.
Yeah, well, there's there's definitely different qualities that a man will look for in a woman, or he should. Right. Although the only flaw in that ointment is generally, I mean, you don't see young men sitting around talking about marriage and how they're going to get married, and when they're going to get married, and what it's going to look like. That's just not on their radar. It's the women that bring that. So whether they're Marianne or Ginger, when they bring marriage, if the man feels entrenched in the relationship, he'll go with it. He'll just go with it, because the woman says it's time, so I guess it must be time. I saw this. Is frontal lobe and maturity the same? Frontal lobe development and maturity. Do you think it's the same? Because life experience is a large part of being jaded around. Like we used the voting comparison, but really maturity is really something that comes with life experience, I believe. And frontal lobe development comes with thought, with the way to process thoughts and take in information. So, and look at the young people today, the amount of information, a lot of it garbage, but still it's coming in, that they absorb and the algorithms they fall into. You get some very interesting people out in the world that are young, very opinionated, very entrenched in what they believe. And a lot of it's completely flawed.
And they're very certain of the way they present it. They're not presenting it as their opinion. They're presenting it as fact. And that's kind of scary in some ways.
Yeah. And, and that's just not young people. I mean, that's older people too.
Right.
I remember getting, having and I could, issues that I feel are important to me. I won't allow someone to just rhetorically spout talking points. So I will challenge them. And I was in environments on one of my soccer teams. I played there for 8 years with these men, and the management kicked me off the team because they did not like my political stand. You know, they just wanted to sit there and spout talking points, and I would rip them apart. And in the end, they kicked me off the team. Like, that's hilarious, right? You know,
Wow.
they can't even have a political discussion. Unbelievable.
All right, well, back to fatflation and the
Yes.
simp epidemic. So the point that I was trying to make that he's making. So just to be interesting, I'm going to take his perspective to explain what he's trying to say. Now, he may not like that. He may think I'm doing a bad job of that, but I'm going to attempt it. So what he's saying again is that these women, because they get so much attention, they're spoiled basically, and that's why he says they have a bad attitude. Not only do they get so much attention, I mean, one of the reasons that exacerbates the fact that they get more attention is that there are less skinny or regular weight women than there ever has been before. So if you are a regular weight, regular BMI, you have been elevated to like the top of the charts even more than before. Again, is his point. That's what fatflation would be, right? That's the idea of fatflation, like inflation, like the rising cost.
Right. So that those women that fit into that category, so women that fit into that category are elevated in the sense that they have more men pursuing them. They have way more choices, and they're kind of overwhelmed with choices.
It's not just choices,
that
also
influences their behavior, and that influences their behavior. That creates these spoiled, women who are aggressive and
that's his
self-centered.
opinion. Yes, that's what he's saying. He thinks it is. All right, we'll continue with the video.
More despair than ever before, saying they couldn't.
He says this is a bunch of men. He's a dating coach, and the men he talks to are like in despair about the situation of dating right now,
or lack of.
Yeah. The video does not like me to pause and unpause a bunch.
Right.
So it throws a fit like it's doing right now.
Get dates, and it was affecting their mental health to a very bad extreme. I had, in the 11 years of running my business, I had never seen such an influx of men suffering like this before. And they were crying on phone calls with me, a lot of grown men crying, right? A lot of depression, substance abuse as a coping method, and the list goes on and on and on. And this is from Montana to California to New York to Georgia. I mean, and white, Arab, Lebanese. But the number one reason why dating sucks for the average man in the USA is because there are simply too many fat women in America. We are the fattest first world country on the planet, and it's by a long shot. The largest demographic of women in the United States of America is obese women.
The largest demographic is obese women. So there's...
Well, firstly, the one thing about the men who were crying and they were doing this and that, like, who are these men that like, they don't sound very self-sufficient to me. If you're depending on a woman to bring you happiness and to fulfill your life, that's just bullshit, because a woman will never be able to do that, ever. A woman will never be able to fulfill a man's life to the point where he doesn't need anything else. He's got his woman. That's just not reality.
Well, it seems to me he's talking about men are whining and crying because they can't connect with women that are out of their league.
Well, fair enough. Right. Well, then they're out of their league. Up your game, buddy. Up your game, or find women in your league.
He says that basically for every one woman that a man is pursuing, there are 19 other men that he's competing with for that one woman.
Okay.
Which is higher than it used to be, is the point, I guess.
Right. Well,
but then he talks about fatflation, and those women are not even contenders. So,
wait, what do you mean?
And then he's talking about fatflation, which overweight obese women, what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, is those women are not even contenders. We're just going to look at the top 4%. And then so there's 20 men pursuing every top 4%, and the rest of the women who have many qualities. America sucks. Our food sucks. You know, we have ingredients in our food that nobody else has. So I totally get that. But, you know, I mean, these number 2 men are going for the top tier women, and they're complaining because they can't get them because there's too much competition.
What makes a man a number 2?
90% of the women.
What makes a man a number 2 man?
I don't know.
Well,
whining and crying because he can't get a date.
No, I would say if he's broke and fat. That would be
broke, fat, and ugly,
fat, short and ugly. Yeah,
lives in mom's basement playing video games, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't. But I don't.
And those
think...
are the kind of guys that hire a coach that spews this kind of stuff.
You're better
I
off.
have the advantage of having watched the video, and his energy is just very offensive to me. So I should.
Your best bet if you're one of those, you know, assuming that this is all reality, you know, the best thing I've ever seen is groups of men. You know, it's very interesting. They used to have a boot camp here in Vancouver. One of the graduate men organizes boot camp for women, and they go as a group into a nightclub, a bar, whatever. And if a man would, you know, and these are men who are shy, you know, oh, I don't want to. Then they point the woman out. There's the woman. You like her? Yeah, she looks good. Okay, go talk to her. Go talk to her. See if you can get a phone number, or, you know, whatever happens. And a man would go over there, and you'd either get rejected or whatever would happen. And he would come back to the group of men, and he would, you know, and commiserate, or they would, you know, whatever, they would talk about it. And they would have weekly meetings where they'd all meet and with some instructor, and they go over their forays into the world of women. And it was really helpful. I came in to talk to them after they had completed their course, and they got back together. And so, you know, I was pitching the men's weekend to them, and I asked them, you know, what is the one thing that you got from this experience of your boot camp? You know, what is the one thing that, and to a man, they said the camaraderie of being with the men. It wasn't about the women or what they learned. It was about being with the men. And to me, that's the key. If you're a man who's out there that feels you're not, you know, you're lost, you've lost your way, you need to get with a group of men that your men that you can count on, and who will hold you accountable, who you can drop your mask with and be real. And, you know, once you have that, almost anything is possible. Without it, very little is.
Yeah, I think some advice he gives in this video, but I think he gives it as a dating coach, is that men have to shoot their shot. You know, they have to go out there and try, and they have to have what he calls game, which I think maybe you would call bullshit, like good kind of bullshit, like banter, you know, like good banter with a woman.
Flirting.
Yeah. So he says that. He says, what's the worst? You know, you go up, you say something, she says no, and you move on to another one. You know, it doesn't affect your value that she said no. You just go ask somebody else.
Well, and you know, and that's a great lesson to have. Rejection is something a man needs to learn how to handle well, because that also equates to when he tries to be successful in his career and in business. You need to be able to handle rejection well, and that's a great training ground. Yeah, agreed. All
right. By the way, because of the FIFA, I have a hard out at like 4:30. So we'll get through as much of this as I can before I gotta go.
Okay. All right.
Kelly has some good points.
Is an obese woman.
What is she saying?
I was just saying, Kelly has some good points in the chat. Take the shot. You know, I mean, how many women are out there in the world and nobody ever approaches her because she's gorgeous and scary? Take the shot. What's the worst that can happen? She says no, like you said. And if a man approaches a woman he's never seen before, he spent 5 minutes looking at her from across the room, and she turns him down, how can he take that personally? She doesn't know anything about him, and he doesn't know anything about her. Take the shot. Make the invitation.
Yeah, the feedback I think he should take from it is that he needs to improve it. He needs to improve the way he's being, because women react to a certain type of way that a man is being, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So he needs to look at his behavior and say, what do I need to change? You know, what is my frame? What is my context?
And he can get that from men, skeevy approaches, sometimes the line is funny, sometimes it's just creepy. And, men need to have women that can help them with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, my opinion.
All right. I'm going to play the video.
Okay. Followed by overweight. And then the minority is regular weight. Okay. Obesity is defined by a body mass index, we're going to say BMI, of 30 or above. Myron, you know about that as a fitness expert. Overweight is a BMI of 25 to 29.9. And the normal body weight is a BMI of 18.5 to 24.9, right? That's your ideal body weight, right, for healthy metabolic function. 12.6% of adult women have severe obesity. Okay, that's a BMI of 40 plus. That is double the amount of men. According to the latest Center of Disease Control and Prevention data, take a look at this real quick. The average American woman aged 20 and older is 5'3.5", 172 pounds, and she has a 38.5 What?
So I think this can come across as just like we're just being mean to women. Like that can be how this can, I think, be perceived by some people. But is it true? Are these numbers real? Like, is that really the situation in America?
It depends where you're taking your data from, I guess. Because you can make data say everything.
Well, not only that, but what are the data about men? It's very, very comparable.
As far as obesity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he claimed in that slide that there was, he claimed in that slide that there was half that number of men.
I know he did. Yeah, but that's not what the statistics say.
Right.
Well, he's not here.
It's a terrible sentence to be handed to Americans. Given the stuff that they've been fed for decades upon decades is poisons. Just addictive stuff in their food, and it's a horrible thing that's been allowed to happen to them.
Our Food and Drug Administration needs to be fired and get somebody from Europe that knows how to do it. If you look at the ingredients in Cheerios, for instance, in America versus Canada, the ingredients are very different.
Yes.
So regardless of a man's BMI, I'm not saying men are not also obese. I'm sure they are at the same rate, but they're still attracted to the same kind of woman, right? No matter who the man is or what shape he's in, they're statistically attracted to this woman here that he's got on the screen. This is the point he's making here, is that if you are going to go out and look for someone to date as a man, you want a single female between 18 and 35 that has no children and is not fat.
Right. But if you're obese, yes, I agree with that. But if you're obese, how can you possibly think that you're gonna achieve that?
It's not about what you think you're going to achieve. It's about what you want. Okay. That is what you want. You might have to settle. You might have to settle for something else. Yeah. But it is still what you're attracted to. If you had your choice, that is what you would choose.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. It doesn't say he can get it at all.
That's true. Good point. It's what they want, not necessarily what they can get, which is why 70% of them are not in relationships, right?
And for God's sake, don't go around crying about it. Just accept
go to the men's weekend.
or go to the gym and start fucking working out. Get on the treadmill, you fat fuck, like everybody else.
So if a man happens to be in shape though, and he also wants this type of woman, which most men I think do, how many of those women are there? Is the question. That's what he's asking here. What percentage of women would fall into this category for him to date?
Percent of the U.S. population is the following: single, female, 18 to 35 years old, no children, and not.
I'll ask before I show it, I'll ask. I guess Kelly's in the chat. Kelly, what do you think? What do you think the percentage of women that are out there fit single female, 18 to 35, no children, and not fat? Or Kyle, you can answer that if you want to guess. Anybody in the chat can guess. There's a delay, so if you ask them to put an answer in, then there we go. What does that say? 10%. Lee says.
Yeah.
They're all checking their Chat GPT.
Yeah.
It's
I've
funny.
already watched the video, so I know the answer.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Chat GPT is very reluctant to give this answer.
I'm sure.
Fat. Damn. 1.2% of the United States American population.
Really?
That's census data. There are some women that technically are, overweight but look good, right? But what if we included, Myron, 25 BMI, 26 BMI, and all the way up to 26.9? Look at the answer here. You guys ready? In 3, 2.
So he allowed for a higher BMI, right? So that percentage is going to go up. How high is it going to go?
1. Survey says.
God, what?
5.6 million women in the United States of America. In a country of 350 million people. So, let's go. Let's continue with the presentation. Fast, fat facts about American women real quick, okay? So, the first world reality. Among the 38 developed nations that make up the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the U.S. leads the pack by
There's actually a really interesting point coming up.
A very fat margin, if you will.
That he makes about
the U.S. rate. Over 40% of adult American women are clinically obese, and roughly 70% fall into the combined overweight and obese categories. That's if you have 10 women in front of you, 4 are very fat, 3 are fat. Okay, and then you have 3 that are either regular weight or underweight.
So again, he's, I know like Brenda, like you don't like his delivery or he sounds mean, but what he's trying to point out is that because it's more rare to be skinny, there's more value placed on it, like inflation. That's the whole point. And that's why
this isn't the mean part. This isn't the part that offended me. This isn't the main part. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The runners-up, other English-speaking countries, developed nations like you said,
Canada's right there,
New
by the way,
Zealand,
with
Australia, and the United Kingdom are the closest followers, but their female obesity rates hover much lower in the low to mid-30 range.
Gotcha. So they got bitchy women too. They're just not as fat.
Well, the bitchy, the thing is, you'll see about what makes the women bitchy, and further down. I love how you're already on it. It's beautiful.
No, we'll continue. I don't want to interrupt.
No, it just shows, you know what you're talking about. The European contrast, like just Fresh was saying about the food. Fresh, I just saw you were in France and you were living good over there. In the majority of, in major developed European countries like Germany, France, and Italy, the female obesity rate drops significantly to roughly 10 to 17%. But look at this.
It's the flour.
This is my specialty, Asia. In highly developed first world Asian countries like Japan and South Korea, the female obesity rate remains in the single digits, around 4 to 5%.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, 70% of ours are fat. That's crazy.
What's even crazier is they have more obese women than we have fit women.
So again, the point he's making is that because there are so many women that fall in that category in these other countries, they have a different demeanor. That's the point that he's making, is that he experienced women in these other countries, dating them, and it was just a completely different experience. His hypothesis is that it's for this reason.
Meaning that in those other countries, because there's so many more of these women that aren't obese.
Yes.
That they have more competition amongst other women. So therefore they have better attitudes. That's his hypothesis. Okay. Got it.
That's what he's saying. Yeah. They have less fatflation.
Right.
It's insane.
I was in Korea in December, and I lived in Japan for almost 11 years. I can tell you from a firsthand experience that this data is extremely true, okay? The contrast is shocking, okay? Take a look at that on the graph. On the left-hand side, you see Japan's obesity rate, 4.5% compared to the United States of America, 41.3.
There's a really
9
good video
to 10%.
coming up
Now, it's
that I
two rich
spliced into this
countries, because Japan has a very strong economy,
that
same food
Brenda,
access,
you haven't seen yet.
same education, arguably, but one outcome is culture and environment.
Yep.
Okay? We're going to see about what happened with our culture and environment here. Half of the country was a healthy weight now, before, but now it's 1 in 4. The green line here, starting in 1976, shows normal body weight.
So he goes on
You
to
can
talk
see that it's
about,
trending
I'm just going to
down.
let it play in the background so we can
Overweight
move
is
forward.
right in the middle.
He's just
You
saying,
see in the
you
middle
know,
there
that
as overweight is trending down. It looks
obesity
good,
rates
right?
have
But it's a
climbed and
direct inverse
the
correlation to
average
obesity.
weight has gone
So
down. He's just showing the
they're
data on this, right?
graduating from
He's really
overweight
belaboring the
into
point.
obese. That's what this data right here is
But
showing when you see that line.
the idea of
They're getting bigger, not going the other way.
women
Right.
accepting
Okay. And
unhealthy
as
weights
obesity
as
goes, take a look at
fine
this is where we're going to start
is
getting
another
to the meat
point
of
that
it.
gets made
Male
here coming up.
sexlessness.
That I believe, like last time we talked
Blue
about
line right there
the great
is
feminization,
an indicator of
and I believe one of the
amount
byproducts
men
of the
feel
great
sex and
feminization
Look
was
how as
this
obesity
Shooting
goes
up
down,
drastically after
body
2010.
acceptance
Right.
at any weight.
Right. And it's, and I
What do
would
they call
say
it? Healthy,
there's a
healthy
little
at any
bit-
weight
there's two parts, right?
is the
The
movement.
first part is
Healthy at any
definitely
weight.
the supply of
And it was
attractive women is shrinking, and
uh,
also
a
in
marketing
2010,
campaign
the
started by
proliferation of
Dove,
smartphones
Yes,
became
I was going to say that.
popular, and so you
which
could
we're
look
gonna-
The
at-
soap?
iPhone 4 came out.
Like
the
the
soap
beauty
company.
product?
Forget.
Yeah.
and you could look
Yeah.
at pornography.
Now I don't know. Maybe they could have just
I think
said
that's
there's
really
more
crazy.
obese women, so we're
Well,
just
I mean-
gonna
I mean, when you're-
we're gonna
when you're
show that that's
subjected
normal.
to being,
You know, I don't think it was diabolical. I think they were just trying to market towards
understand if you're like,
you know,
"Oh, if I
the
attract-
demographic that was
you know,
out
I
there,
need to
right?
Stay sane, right?
But what it
But I do
led
not
to
condone the use of pornography at all.
was
Let's continue.
another woman wrote
This
a
is an
book
inversion table real quick. So you could see
called
1990,
Healthy at Any Weight.
51%
I
of
think
the
that's
US
what the book was called.
population was
And her
overweight or
name
obese,
was
right?
Linda
Only
Bacon.
10% of men were sexless.
And that
In the year
book was
2000, it
like
goes
touted
Extra
as,
crispy.
15,
Yeah.
and then it goes 64.
that book was touted as
15,
like the reason.
68% in
This is what he was
2018,
saying in
and
his
then,
presentation,
as
that book was
69
like
goes up to
touted as like the Bible of
2024,
that movement, right?
we're at
So I was
22,
curious. I looked into her,
24 to 28%
and
as
I
well.
found a video of her talking
So
about
how is this affecting men?
healthy
How is
at
this
any
affecting
weight.
men, right? For that,
somewhere
we'll
in
return
here.
to my
It's coming up.
education in psychology to refer to one fact that clears up part of the equation. Okay? The 0.7 rule.
Oh, this is interesting. Bruce, do you know what the 0.7 rule is? I never heard of this before. Brenda, have you? It's a ratio.
Yeah, it's the ratio between the hips and the waist.
Yeah. So basically, like, it's 30% smaller. That's how I'm looking at it. That number. The waist is 30% smaller than the hips. Is that right?
Right, the
Yeah,
hourglass
waist-
figure.
More reproductive health.
Yeah, which is what men are attracted to, just biologically, right?
Right.
So he goes into that, and I think one of the more interesting things that he
That
points out is
the
that
hourglass figure.
they studied
Across
blind
every
men,
culture studied, men
and they
rate
also
a
preferred,
waist to
just
hip
by
ratio
feeling,
near 0.7
preferred that
as
shape.
most attractive. So this is
It
one of the
was-
most replicated.
It wasn't from
findings
like
in the field of
brainwashing
psychology,
from media
It
or
holds
whatever. It was
worldwide
just
and
it's just
across
biological.
eras.
Like even if
Miss
you're
America
blind,
winners and Playboy
you still
models, they
recognize that that's
cluster
what you
at
want.
0.7 for decades, even as body weight fashions
Here, he's gonna
change.
talk about it.
Survival of the species
The
driving
killer
it
proof
stronger
is here.
than any
This
of
is
us can
crazy.
even begin to
Men
imagine.
blind
Right.
from birth, judged by touching alone, preferred the same 0.7 ratio. Zero media, zero cultural programming.
Damn.
Blind. So what men like is genetically built into us, right? So when a guy says, I really like fat girls, he probably just says that because that's all he can pull, you know? So why? Low waist to hip ratio biologically signals fertility, youth, and
There you go.
health. It's wired in. It's not taught. It is our biology as men. Right. So take a look real quick. Here is an example of a woman with a 0.7 hip to waist. It all started with this photo
Here we
from
go.
2004. The Dove real beauty campaign, right? They wanted to empower women. They wanted to show real bodies. That's what their marketing department said. But I assure you, this was a diabolical scheme that women fell for, hook, line, and sinker.
Diabolical.
Diabolical.
So these are all his slides that I just threw in there real quick. Fat shaming enters the dictionary. Healthy at every size. So I'm just going to ask, like it should be obvious, right? That healthy at any size is not a thing, right? Like
Well, it's not accurate. It's not accurate.
Yeah.
The way I'm hearing you putting it out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, is they're saying everybody's healthy no matter what size you are. But I would like to quantify that you can be 200 pounds and be healthy, and you can be 110 pounds and be very unhealthy.
You can,
It just depends on your other habits. If you're working out and you're drinking lots of water and you're eating well, some people have medical conditions, which I know is an exception. That's not what we're talking about here. But health is more than just your weight. So when you say healthy at any size, I'm not hearing just your size.
But you're saying that even if you're a 5'3" woman and you're 200 pounds, you can be considered healthy?
You can be healthier than a 110-pound woman who is anorexic, for instance. Or
yeah, but isn't that like if I smoke 3 packs a day, but I'm healthier than that guy doing heroin?
George Burns lived until 100 years old, but I'm just saying that you can be healthy and heavier than your peers based on other things that you do. If you eat a balanced diet, maybe it's portion control, that you need to take a look at. But
I think it goes back to what motivates women's behaviors. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, every fashion magazine, every catalog that was lingerie, it was all skinny women, all thin women, and that was the fashion, skinny women. And now it's fashionable for women to be overweight.
And Marilyn Monroe was a size 12, right?
Is it though? Because as soon as they came out with a shot, everybody signed up for it.
Well, yeah, but it's still fashionable, right? So it's like an excuse, right? It's a reason. It's fashionable. It's okay because this is fashionable. They don't make that conscious decision, but it's like in the herd, there's lots of obese women. So it's safety in numbers. And social media, which drives a lot of the fashion, is also saying it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, here's a video of Linda. I think her name is Lindo now, Bacon. She is now a they. And there's a video of her talking about exactly what you just said. And they're saying social media made it worse, basically.
Social media made everything worse.
Something has really gone wrong. The misconceptions about weight science are astounding. Suspend your preconceptions and a very different picture emerges. One where it's the machinery of weight stigma.
So she said machinery of weight stigma. That's interesting. But I just wanted to say that you're going to see some information pop up on the screen. Like 9 out of 10 times, that's me putting information to kind of juxtapose what she's saying.
That needs dismantling. Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Bacon, and I'm devoted to creating a global transformation that focuses on body respect, not the war on weight. My work is inspired by lessons learned through 3 graduate degrees in weight science, including a PhD in physiology, as well as clinical and research experience, and having healed from my own personal suffering around weight. Let me briefly walk you through the weight health minefield. Right now, that minefield is littered with 2 treacherous assumptions. One is that fat kills. The second is that being fat will make you sick. Does fat kill?
Yes.
Let's look at the facts.
Yes, it does.
To write my dissertation, I had to review the evidence that obesity increases mortality. And guess what? I couldn't find it. In fact, There are about 40 peer-reviewed epidemiologic studies on this topic.
So the point of
And
this
all
is,
but a handful
isn't she
contradict the
just
popular
lying?
wisdom that fat kills. What most studies show is that people considered overweight and mildly or moderately obese live at least as long as, or longer, than people deemed normal weight. But understand that I'm talking about the vast majority of the so-called overweight and obese population in this discussion. Some of the most comprehensive data on weight and mortality comes from government statisticians at the Centers for Disease Control, using data from the highly respected NHANES study, the largest nationally representative cohort of US adults. Their results, published in JAMA, found that people in the overweight category lived longest, and people who were mildly or moderately obese lived as long as those in the normal weight category. They also acknowledged that, quote, this finding is consistent with other results reported in the literature, unquote. Okay, so we don't have evidence that fat is the killer it's made out to be, you may be thinking, but it clearly causes disease. Does it? Well, let's see. Next, consider discrimination and stigmatization. It's tough to live in a fatter body in this culture, socially and otherwise. Think about what it must be like for larger people, that is, most Americans, to confront daily in the papers, magazines, television shows, and commercials that their bodies are unattractive and constitute a horrifying public health crisis. To hear assumptions from dietitians and other healthcare practitioners that because of a physical characteristic, their weight, they must be unhealthy and engaging in poor self-care. Everyone, fat or thin, is severely harmed by this message. It teaches all of us to see larger people as problematic
So this was
and to fear becoming
2017.
fat ourselves.
Okay. She wrote the book in 2009. This video came out in 2017. Is she not creating a problem by spreading this message?
I agree. Yeah. You can't say there's not I mean, being morbidly obese is a problem. It's unhealthy, it's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant, it's unacceptable in society. Facts are facts. Whether, we can judge it all we want to, but the fact of the matter is it's hard to be an overweight, obese person in this society. And back to why you brought all this together. And I know you have a deadline that you have to leave. So
Yeah.
Men want the 25-year-old hot body girl. There are a few of them. She doesn't have a whole lot of competition. She has a line of men standing up her. And, the fact of the matter is it's okay for you to like what you like. And on the other side of it, we never got to the simp part of this conversation, but on the other side, so if a woman wants to be more marketable in the dating, then she can go to the gym. She can do the things. Men, just exactly the same as with men, we want men to be more masculine. Do the work, figure it out, get men in your life. So, I mean, it's okay to want what you want. The part that I was very offended was there's name calling, shaming, that bullying, that's just not acceptable.
In his presentation?
Yeah. And in the world, I mean, by putting it out there, he's a dating coach for 11 years and he attracts men who want his message. His message, I think, is seriously flawed.
Possibly. Bruce, what do you think? Are these women being did this cause a problem? Did this lead to fatflation?
I think obesity comes from the types of food we're being given. People, there is this push towards eating healthy, and people do understand that there's many foods are not serving them, but they're addicted to them. And then it becomes an addiction problem and a lifestyle, and it's hard to bust out of it. And I would just say, when I talk to other men about, because as I get older, I'm always talking to older men about how you feeling, how you doing, what's going on with you. And one thing I've noticed is that you don't see many fat, obese men over 70 because they all die from something, whatever it is, right? So So if you want to live into your 80s or 90s, if you want to do that, you need to be thin to do it, because your body just won't put up with you. You know, that's my observation. So
Men or women, yeah.
Yeah, men and women. Because inflammation and all sorts of organs that are working overtime and doing things that they weren't meant to do because they're trying to move this body around. It's difficult.
So my point, I guess, tying this back into the great feminization. I'm not trying to demonize women, but they have women can be taken advantage of if you cater to their empathy and you say there is someone over here that is being picked on, or that is less than, or we need to help this person. This person feels bad. You can really play on a woman's heartstrings, right? And I think that tendency of the female nature in pushing feminism is what led to body positivity movement. And the body positivity movement is an excuse. And when you have someone with all of these credentials behind their name, writing a book and coming out and saying things like this, I think that they tend to latch onto that and say, oh, it is okay that you're, overweight, and it's fine. And that new accept, because it wasn't always accepted. It was kind of shamed, right? Before, like, that's not a good thing. Now it's being accepted because of feminism, and it has led to the fatflation that we see today.
Yeah, the sad part about that is, like, at the end of the day, health is a personal choice. The shape of your body is a personal choice, and there's exceptions. You can have health problems that out of your control, etc. But at the end of the day, no matter, if you're looking for justification for being the way you are, again, that's just an excuse, and it's not. And in the end, it's not going to help you. You will succumb to your obesity in your later years, right? And you can't tell me that an obese woman or an obese man walking around in the world doesn't have issues, right? Like just movement and enjoyment of food and clothing and just everything. There's just so many issues with it. It's not a comfortable. You can't tell me it's comfortable.
I think most people would like to be in the fit or damn close to it category. And the problem is the food, the lifestyle. COVID made us all homebound, and we got comfortable being at home and all of that. I think the biggest problem is people know that what they're doing doesn't work, but too often they don't know what to do differently. They don't know what kind of diet should I do. There's so much expert information out there that is unsustainable or needs more support. And the diet, it's not just calories in, calories out. That helps, but it's also about your macros and what kind of food you're eating and what you're doing with it, what kind of exercise you're getting, timing. It's very important. So I think it would be very useful for people to understand that just like everything else that you're going to be good at, you need to be taught how to do it and to go find those resources.
And then, yeah, I agree. Back to the decentering men real quick, because I got to go. We got to end. At least I do. I don't know. We got to, Lee's in the background. If y'all want to stay on, I don't know if he can just stay on and keep running it. We've never tried that, so probably have to try it again next time, see if he can run it. But back to the, oh my God, what was I just saying?
Decentering men.
Oh yeah, decentering men. So instead of women, in my opinion, being like, you know what, I don't care what men are attracted to, I'm just going to be fat if I want to be fat. I think that we would be better off if both men and women tried to get in the best shape possible for each other, for attractiveness to each other. That's what they both want, right? So I just think that we got pushed in this direction that has gotten us to where we are, and we need to push back against it as a society in America.
Either that or quit complaining that you don't have a relationship.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't cry to your relationship coach.
Your so-called relationship coach.
All right, I got to run.
Right.
Thank you, Brenda, again for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Next Sunday. Yeah, you're always invited. Next Sunday, we're gonna pick up on the Simp epidemic part of this that we didn't get to, maybe, and we'll go through a little bit of that. So, thanks for everybody who's watching, for waiting for FIFA to be over. Who won again?
Argentina.
Spain. I
Spain.
thought I saw Spain win.
No.
And I didn't even watch it, and I knew that.
All right, y'all. See you next time.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Cold in my pocket, breath like a match, velvet in my voice and skill in my grasp. I follow the moonlight into a steady hand, walk through the flame until both understand. When I ask who I am, I answer with light. Ignite your weekends, set our shadows on fire. Ignite your weekends, that tenderness, meet desire. Ignite your weekends, choose how we rise higher. Ignite your weekends, oh yeah. Ignite your weekends.
I used to push louder, call that being strong. Now strength is patient and patience moves along. I hold the rage and the lullaby in one key. In hard times I show up steady awake.